Hello, everyone, and thank you for the intro. My name is Jake. I'm the CEO of Youni, and I'm going to talk to you about what we've been building over the last 6 months as part of this competition. I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit about what Youni is and why we started the company. I'm going to go into a little bit about what LLMs do, and then we're going to go right into a product demo. We're going to wrap up with some things we learned over this last 6 months about LLMs and the space in general, and then go into a little bit of a product timeline. So opening today, I kind of wanted to talk about this quote that I saw recently, and it's 4 for 4, not 4 for 40. And what does that mean? Well, I think when colleges were first created, there was this paradigm that you would go to school for 4 years, you would learn how to be a manager of a plant or do some profession, and that would last you 40 years. And unfortunately, I think that we are now in a time where this is no longer applicable. I think that reskilling is going to be more in demand as technology moves, the markets move, and we're going to need to know how to reskill and reemploy ourselves constantly to stay competitive in this market. So what's Youni? Yeah, we're a little brash, we're a startup. Youni's dedicated to helping students take classes that will help them in their career. Me and my co-founder actually met at Johns Hopkins University, and to be honest, we were pretty frustrated with our experience. A lot of the classes just didn't connect to the real world, and we couldn't understand why we were taking them. And we had to know that there was others like us out there that wanted to only take those classes that actually would teach them something that they found valuable, or more importantly, the market found valuable. So our idea behind Youni is to have a place where industry could meet education. We did this using a repository of RSDs, which are rich skill descriptors. This is a really great way to document skills and use them. And our idea is that on our platform, teachers could come to show their classes off and market them and display them. Employers could come there to recruit and connect with these teachers, and students could actually plan their careers with education and industry in mind instead of having two isolated sources of data. So let's talk a little bit about LLMs. About a year ago when me and my co-founder met, LLMs were not the hot thing. In fact, blockchain was, if anyone still remembers that, but it's still a technology we believe in. But regardless, why are LLMs important to us, and why have we chose to kind of pivot and take part in this contest over this last half year? Well, first of all, let's look at a fact. Over half of resumes submitted online never make it to a real human. That was off a report recently published from Indeed. That's because what's on a resume isn't usually machine readable, and in fact, they're kind of looking to check buzzwords or keywords which are self-verified, and a lot of people don't even know to use. So that's a big problem. Second of all, cooperation is a huge problem, right? You have all of these employers that have their own definition of skills, their own hiring needs, and you have all of these colleges, and they're not only competing amongst each other, they're not really talking to one another. It's kind of these isolated ecosystems. So as a student, you have to figure out not only the best school for you, but how that school connects to a job that you actually can place into and want. And that's a problem when these are isolated, because you get redundant skills or skills that don't really map to careers. So what did we do about it? Well, we built this product, Youni. And the first part of Youni is a place for teachers to post their class. This is still a young product, so if you see any design glitches or anything, give us a little bit of benefit of the doubt. It's getting better every day. But what I'm showing you here first is just a simple class post. And what you can see here is at the very bottom, we have RSDs connected to every class that goes into our library. This can happen manually by a teacher going in and choosing an RSD from our library, or you can use AI to actually read your class syllabus or class post and recommend RSDs for you. We think it's important that teachers understand what an RSD is, because if they don't, I don't think there's a good way to understand what they're teaching towards. So the first step here was to make a tool that we think that teachers will love and use to market their class and as well as show their class to their students. The next thing we did here was make a tool for employers. I think this is the hardest part of this whole problem, is how do we get employers to buy in? So what you're going to see here is an employer who can literally just write into an open text box what they are looking for in their ideal employee. They can write that they're hardworking, they can write that they've worked for 20 years in tech, and it will actually build out in real time a job post with them, making a call to OpenAI. So on here, I've kind of just shown you me making up a prompt. In about 3 to 5 seconds, it's going to go ahead and fill out this entire form for me, which is pretty cool. Now, building job posts is nothing new, and we've been doing that for years, but what we think is really cool is the ability to actually tag this job post with RSDs. So again, you can go ahead and search our library for an RSD, or you can go ahead and create your own. So what we're going to see here up next is that this job post didn't actually have an RSD that matched the job. And this employer now is going to type in what skill they're actually looking for. Now, why is this important? Well, libraries over time become 30,000 entries, 1 million entries, when everyone keeps entering the same skill over and over again. What we can do with AI is we can actually match your natural language of what you think the skill is to other skills in the library, or recommend a new one and create it for you. So that's what you're seeing here. This job now has a skill tag to it, which was created on the fly using AI. And again, the whole goal of this is to save people time. Technology shouldn't become a burden. It should actually become a time saver, help you make more money for your business, help you hire better talent. And we believe that this does this by mapping to these skills. So let's kind of get to the meat and potatoes of our presentation, which is how does this actually work for students? Because as I said in the beginning, our whole company was built to help students. So the last part of this now that you're going to see is I went ahead and I just made a fake resume in Bard, but you could really use any natural text data you want about your life, about your career. And what we're going to see here is how Youni can now read this resume and actually map it to the RSDs used by all those jobs and classes I just saw you getting created to make recommendations that if you want this job, then take this class. Essentially answering the question of why am I even taking this? So right now you're seeing that resume getting built. And now the student's going to go and generate a resume with AI. Got that resume posted in there. And now they're going to be selected, recommended a list of RSDs that are relevant for their resume. So instead of now using resume on our site, they just use RSDs. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. You just select the ones that work for you. And as you now start taking classes and applying jobs, this builds as a profile for you. And what's really cool is that every time you apply for a job and they actually hire you, it verifies the claims of all of those RSDs you've selected. So in that way, you're now having this profile or this data point that this employer has vetted and validated for you. And we think that long term, there's a lot of cool things you can do with this, and this is just really the start of where our company can do. So let's talk a little bit about what we learned. First and foremost, we wanted to make an interface that we could give to anyone. I wanted to be able to go up to my friend or my cousin who's currently looking for a job right now and tell them, hey, I know you're frustrated. I know you're on Indeed. I know that you spend all this money on education and you're still not really finding the jobs you want. I have a tool for you. That was the most important thing for me, because if I can't hand you a tool that's intuitive and easy to use, I don't have any feedback loops on what to build next. So that was the first thing that I really set out to do, was to build a real tool that a real person could use. Second, we learned a lot about AI and using the OpenAI function calls and AI calls that are out there right now. First, we learned that if you have visuals or tables on your syllabus, your resume, it's still not really good at learning that, right? It's still really hard to take a PDF that's really fancy and has a lot of dressing on it and unpack it into skills data. Second, we learned a lot about this thing called function calling. OpenAI is constantly releasing new tools to make it easy to build products on their platform. Function calling came out about 2 months ago, and it's dripping through our product. What function calling does is instead of just saying, hey, OpenAI, give me a text-based answer, it actually will give you a functional answer, like a JSON object, or actually let you call an endpoint or a function that you've created in your software. So you can do way more now with OpenAI than you could, say, even 4 months ago. In fact, you can even now fine-tune OpenAI so that when it searches an RSD, it will specifically search your library of RSDs, not the entire internet or try and make up its own hallucination of one. It's incredible in the last 6 months what OpenAI has been able to do. And lastly, we've learned a lot about modeling data and how data redundancies need to be prevented and how to get data clean as you get more employer, more job, and more student data in this thing. We also learned a lot about storing data with our friends at the Learning Economy and at Bast AI and how we can map this data over time. And that's something we want to do a lot more with as we now have a framework to build off of. So what is our timeline over the next 6 months here as we go into the back half of the year? Well, as I told you, we're a startup. We literally didn't have Youni.com until April of this year. And until probably 3 weeks ago, the whole skills library piece of this and generating skills wasn't even a thing. So we're building really fast, and we're constantly iterating based on user feedback. Starting in September of 2023, we're going to have Learn Card set up. So not only can you come in and copy paste text, but if you have a digital wallet, it will be able to actually connect to our platform, and you'll be